So, HARO have announced that they're ending Connectively at the end of this year, at the end of 2024. HARO itself moved to Connectively in April 2024, and Connectively was fucking shit. Like, let's be honest. There was issues with the inquiries going through, and it seemed that they lost all their good outlets that were using it, and it just got terrible. So instead of having all the journalist inquiries in one place, and it would just get sent to you, and it was just super easy to get your quotes over. It took the workflow was really good, and it was just really good. We've now got like loads of different journalist inquiry platforms. It's very fractured, and a lot of them are now pay to play. So it's getting more expensive. It's taking more time to do stuff, and it's just not what it used to be. The whole journalist inquiry game, just isn't as good. But here I'm going to break down exactly what I think about the different journalist inquiry platforms, what I think you should do if you want to keep on doing journalist inquiries, and go through also some alternatives to journalist inquiries that I think you're going to have to start doing if you want to get PR links in 2025 and beyond. So yeah, like I said, what was originally HARO and was all in one place is now split across like 5 to 10 different platforms. The sort of biggest of these are featured.com, Help a B2B Writer, Qwoted, Sources of Sources, and Profnet/Cision. Profnet and Cision, I recently learned, are actually the same thing. So when someone talks about Cision, they talk about Profnet, it's the same thing. Now, my takeaway is that the free versions of these current platforms combined are not even close to how good HARO was in the late 2010s and the early 2020s. Marketers and AI together have completely fucked journalist inquiry stuff, and in an attempt to put a curb to this, all the good stuff is behind a paywall now. The good platforms will only offer like very few pitches if you don't pay, and the ones that are free, they either convert really badly, or the journalists that use them, the best journalists don't want to use them. So if you want to get as many opportunities as you did back in the day, you're going to have to pay for several platforms and piss around with different user interfaces. That's just the reality of the situation. It's annoying, but that is what it is. Now, there's a lot of demand for one journalist inquiry service to rule them all. So I do think that at some point it's going to become less fractured, and there will be one that is just better than the other ones, and that's the one that everyone's going to flock to. And then it will probably go in a cycle that gets spammed out, and then another one will take over, and then another one will take over. But at this very second in time, at the end of 2024, there's just loads of them, and you have to, ping pong between the different ones if you want to get your links through journalist inquiry platforms. So, Jolly SEO in August 2024, they released some data showing where they got their last 2,200 links from. And you can see this below. So their number one was Featured. Their number two was HARO. Their number three was Help a B2B Writer. Their fourth was Connectively. And they got some from Profnet as well, right? So the thing that jumps out to me about this is that HARO is still their second biggest source of links. This was released in August 2024. HARO didn't even exist from the beginning of April 2024. So 4 months before this chart was released, HARO stopped existing. And HARO is still their second biggest source of links, which this just shows you like how shit the current ones are compared to HARO. It's sad to see, but this is what it is. So the journalist inquiry game, it's just not what it was. It's just a lot worse. It's more expensive. It's more time consuming. You get less links. It's just, yeah, it's just not good. They also released data on the number of pictures that they send out to get a link. So this is your conversion rate. So featured has the best conversion rate. Profnet has the second best. And then connectively, which doesn't even exist anymore, is the worst. And the rest of them are sort of much of a muchness, right? Yeah, HARO is source of sources. So Peter Shankman. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the journalist inquiry services that I use, which are basically the ones featured here, and just give you my thoughts on them. So the first one of these is featured. So the pricing for featured is there's a free version where it's 3 pictures a month. And then there's a paid version. So there's a $40 and an $80 a month version. And they're basically the same, except the $80 a month version. So the $40 a month version gets you unlimited pictures. And the $80 a month version also gets you unlimited pictures. But they've also got a feature where you can write an article and then send it out to the publications that use featured. Honestly, I think that this writing an article and sending it out thing is kind of stupid. Like, it's much better to find the editors of these outlets themselves and pitch them directly rather than do it through featured. I don't see any value in that. So my advice would be get the pro version. So $40 a month. If you can get one feature a month, then that's really good value. And yeah, like it is where Jolly SEO get the most of their links from at the moment, or earlier this year anyway. So going into featured, it's a little bit different to HARO. Like you set up a profile. So this is one of my clients' profiles. So you set up the profile, and when the journalists receive the pitch, they'll get the pitch and the profile. So they'll be able to cite the profile, so you can put in all your social media stuff, more like the most important thing, which is your website. So you'll get links from the features, and just all your information. So you want to put in a bit of effort to this. It's also got the option. They also give you the option to put in your past features. So if you've got like a back catalogue of media appearances, then that makes it look like more legit. And then these are the requests, and this is just today, and it's 4 pages of 100, so it's 400 in a day. So you get a lot of requests. And there are some big outlets here. So you got GoDaddy, The Spruce, Real Simple, big magazines. So there are a lot of opportunities there, but the average there are a lot of shitty spammy websites doing it. So there's this weird trend. You can usually spot them because they've got like similar looking logos and they often end in IO, but they're all spam sites. So I clicked through to a few of them, and you got this one, contentmanagers.net, which is DR0, and all their articles are just expert roundup posts that they have sourced through featured. And getting a link from this isn't going to help you in any way, right? You got this site, videoproducer.io, which is the same. And this site, employeerelations.io, which when it opens is like the same. Bankinganalysts.com, which is like the same as well. And familynews.io, which when it loads is the same as well. These are it's just weird. And when you go through these, more than half of them are these weird sites. So once you filter out these weird sites, there aren't actually that many good opportunities. I would say there's probably 20 to 30 good opportunities a day. And there's also not a great spread of industries. It's very, very B2B centric. Very, very B2B centric, right? So like if you're in SaaS or technology or marketing or like finance, then you'll get good opportunities. And admittedly, it does convert very well. So it is still just about worth the money, but it's far from perfect. And again, not as good as HARO. The next one of these is Help a B2B Writer. So here you sign up, you pick your relevant industries, and you get emailed you get the request directly into your inbox. And with most clients, I find that I get about 10 requests a day, and I'll usually get like one, maybe two relevant ones a day. So this is what a request looks like. So yeah, like HubSpot. So yeah, that would be a good link. And they'll just give you a question. That's the email address you email to, and it's just like HARO. You answer the question, you give your details, and then if it's a good answer, you might get a link. Now, I've found with Help a B2B Writer that for my last 100 B2B writers, I've gotten 22 links. So it's got about a 1 in 5 conversion rate. So if you're getting one opportunity today and it's a 1 in 5 conversion rate, then you can build like a link a week with that. And it's free as well. So yeah, it's free. It goes straight to your inbox. So you don't need to piss around with their user interface. And generally speaking, the site quality on it is good. Now, the downside of Help a B2B Writer is that there isn't a massive selection of websites who use it. So here, if I expand this, here are the last 100 requests on Help a B2B Writer. They just published this on the website. And if you do Control F and you do HubSpot, so 7 of the last 100 were HubSpot. If you do Fit Small Business, 3 of them were Fit Small Business. And this is a pattern that if you've been doing Help a B2B Writer for a long time, you see is like Right Cream is another one that they just do loads. If you've been doing Help a B2B Writer for like a month, then you'll just see the same stuff coming up over and over and over again. So once you've gotten links from those websites, then you've kind of used Help a B2B Writer up. So with Help a B2B Writer, I'd recommend doing it until you get the links that they offer and then just leaving it. You can't just get unique links over and over and over again from it. There's sort of the limit to the diversity of links you can get from it is quite low. But considering that's free, it's still well worth doing. So the next one is Qwoted. Now, Qwoted, it's got a few options. The free option, you only get 2 pictures per month, which is kind of bullshit. Like that's nothing. Like you can't really do much with that. To get unlimited pitches, you need to pay $99 a month, and they do monthly payments, monthly billing, which is quite nice. And the way it works is if you're a PR, you set up your account as a PR, and then you add your sources, your clients. And then when it comes to pitching, it gives you a drop-down box and you can pitch with your different clients. But the journalist knows that it's not the client pitching, it's you pitching. Now, this I actually think is a good thing because journalists, they want full transparency about who's saying what. And I found that even if you're pitching as a PR, if your pitches are good, they're still going to get accepted. Like journalists, they know how PR works. Like they're not stupid. Like they know that it's often not the source who's saying what they're receiving, but the fact that they're given this transparency makes me think that if I were a journalist, I would want to use Qwoted ahead of ones where you can't actually see who's pitching. And Qwoted, it's got so many opportunities as well. So I counted these, and in the last day, it had like 120 opportunities. And it's also from like a really diverse range of sites. So you've got like newspaper sites, you've got like business like industry specific outlets, you've got like B2B blogs. It's got the most diverse range of sites out of any of the platforms. And because it's paid, it converts really well. I've been batting 1 for 2 with Qwoted. So for every 2 pitches, I get a placement. And that's why I think that even though it costs $99 a month, if I was going to just use one, I would use Qwoted. I'd probably use Qwoted first, and then I'd use Featured second, just because Featured doesn't have as many good opportunities. So yeah, Qwoted is really good. Just suck it up and pay for it. If you just buy 1 month and you just hammer it, you'll see after a month that's worth the money. I promise you. So yeah, Qwoted really good. The next one is Sources of Sources. Now, Sources of Sources was set up by Peter Shankman, who is was the founder of HARO, and it's essentially his attempt to revive HARO. So this is if you sign up for Sources of Sources, this is the email you get. Now, this is probably going to look very familiar to you. It is HARO, right? But there are some differences. The first difference is just the number of opportunities there are. It's usually between 10 and 20, and you get this twice a day. So it's usually between 40 and 50 opportunities a day. It's still good. It's still good websites. So like you've got the New York Post, you've got HR Spotlight, you've got PetMD. But they've stopped doing these big like roundup requests. So it's like, I'm looking for a business owner to talk about a challenge they faced in 2024, and like 80 people will get featured. It's just like the easiest link in the world. They've stopped doing that because I think those were just getting spammed to absolute oblivion. And the other rule with Sources of Sources is that journalists have a right to send any AI or irrelevant pictures to Peter, and Peter will just ban you. He says, that's what he says here. This is well worth a read. So with Sources of Sources, unfortunately, I've found that with my clients, there's so few opportunities that if you can get one relevant opportunity a week, then you're doing well with it. So it needs time to mature, but it's one to keep your eye on. And yeah, I think it's got some promise. And then the final one is Profnet. So Profnet, I have never used this. From what I've read, it is $1,500 a year for one category, so like one niche, which I think is obscenely expensive. And if we go back to Jolly's data, Profnet, it was only like 5% of their links was from Profnet. So it just does not seem worth it to me. considering how expensive it is. And I did a little bit of looking around for what people are saying about it online. The first thing is there's not many people talking about it online, so I just don't think it's very popular. And what I did find was very negative. So, like, this person on Reddit was like, I'm using it and it's absolutely not helpful. My agency started using it again last year, and we haven't seen a single relevant opportunity. Relatedly, our PR rep at PR Newswire told us that they were phasing out Profnet. I mean, Cision, they made a complete mess with Connectively. They phased out HARO. I've got no reason to think Profnet is good. So, yeah, I'm not going to go there. So the ones that I'm using now are featured. Help a B2B writer. In certain industries, it's good, but you need to be like in marketing, software development, like tech, marketing or tech or finance. Otherwise, there's not that many opportunities. It doesn't really connect you with the press. It just connects you with like bloggers and Qwoted. Qwoted right now is my favorite. However, I am generally trying to move away from journalist inquiry services, at least until it becomes less factored. And there's a few ways that I'm doing it. And one of them is to try and find journalists who I think are going to want to feature my clients and just send them and just introduce them to my clients before they actually make a request. So a way of doing this is go to Google News and put in whatever industry your client is in plus expert. So let's say I'm working with an accountant. I would put in tax expert. Then I would click through to the results and I would find out who are the experts being featured. If you open up like the last 30 results, chances are there's only going to be 3 or 4 experts that are just in the news all the time. The ones who have good PRs, basically. So in this case, the people that I found were Andy Wood, Dan Needle, and Nigel Green. So what you do is you take those names and you exact match quote search them and put tax afterwards. And this gives you all the articles that feature Andy Wood and talk about tax. So 95+% of them will reference this Andy Wood guy. And as you see, there's like lots and lots of articles. Dan Needle, exact same. Look how many there are. Nigel Green, same story. Now, journalists, they don't really want to use the same sources over and over again. It's seen as lazy journalism. So here's your opportunity to introduce your source and actually give the journalist something useful because they're going to be on the lookout for new sources. So what I do is I go through all of these and I'll find, and you're looking for journalists who have used the same source more than once. So you go through every article that Nigel Green has been in, make a list of the journalists, and if the journalist has featured him more than once, then you add them to your list, and you build out a list of journalists who have featured the same source in your niche more than once. Generally, it's going to come up to like 10 or 20 journalists. There's not going to be many, but it's going to be hyper targeted. So you can send fairly speculative outreach and it's still useful. And this is the email that you send. Subject line is whoever the person they featured is. The fact that it's someone familiar, so the fact that you've got like a familiar person in the subject means that they're likely to open it because it might be from the person, it's someone who they've got a relationship with, so it's going to trigger an open. And then you go, hi first. I noticed that you featured the accountant Dan Needle in several articles in the last year. I've just got a new client, whoever your client name is, who is the co-founder of accounting firm GoFormer. If you want a new perspective on any upcoming stories relating to tax, I can get commentary over to Charlie within 3 hours of requesting. You can find links to Charlie Bailey's headshot, website profile, and LinkedIn profile below. So what you're looking to get is you're looking to get exclusivity to the journalists who feature your experts rather than relying on journalist inquiry services. The journalist inquiry services are losing steam because of the amount of spam they're getting. So you need to bridge that gap between you and the journalist inquiry services. And that's what getting these types of features is going to involve in 2025 and going forward from there.